Hello people of the internet and welcome to my closet. Yes, this is a speed paint and I am talking over it. I wanted to try something new, and one of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube is speed paint videos but with commentary. It doesn't need to be about the progress of the drawing, it can just be like a story time video, but just having the visuals of a drawing come to life is just so fun to watch. I don't know, it's just fascinating to me and kind of inspiring as well. So I want to do something similar. I asked my followers on Instagram and they wanted to hear me talk about the drawing process and what type of brushes I'm using and all the good stuff like that. So there will not be a story time in this one, but I guess I have to start somewhere. Keep in mind that this is not a tutorial by any means, because most of the time I have no idea what I'm doing. Before I start with the actual speed paint, I just want to talk about the brushes that I'm using. Most of the brushes that I'm using are the default brushes on Photoshop, so it's the most basic brushes that Photoshop has. The other brushes that I'm using I have downloaded off the internet. If I can find what types of brushes it was, I might link it down in the description, but right now I do not know where I found them. But it was from ArtStation because someone recommended them or something, so yeah. Okay, I have been rambling on for too long, so let's get into the actual meat of this video, which is the speed paint and me talking over it. So what I'm doing here is, or what I have been doing here is that I have picked Nada's base color, and so I can like mark the whole character because it's easier, and then I start like coloring in her hair because she has kind of a few different type of because she has a few different type of brown in her hair. I start with like the medium one and then go for the light one and then add more of the dark ones to kind of give it more of a hair feel to it. And I don't know, there's not much for me to talk about here because I'm just blocking in like the base colors like every artist do. So again, not much to talk about here. So I guess I can talk about the actual drawing. To be fully honest, I don't know what my idea for this drawing was. Because sometimes, or most of the time when I draw, or don't know what to draw, I pick a character, or maybe a few characters, and I draw them in different poses and situations, like super sketchy and everything. And I guess I ended up really liking this one. So I did a more finalized sketch of it, and I decided yesterday to finish it off. So, yeah. So, most of my drawings, when I do work on them, doesn't really have a deep meaning to it. There's just a few that has like an idea and an execution. But I like to come up with an idea or something afterwards. Because the story that Nada is in, and the world she's in, well, especially the story that is about her and everything, if I was to sum up the story with like one word, it would be like lost or loss, like missing someone kinda. So it doesn't need to be a someone, it can just be something, or just in Nada's case she's missing someone, and that's kind of the driving force of her character, is that she will try to overcome the loss of a loved one. It's kind of like the base of her story. Like, something happens in the beginning and she has to, throughout the story, kind of try to learn how to deal with this loss. Because I have I personally have gone through a similar thing, and I know how hard it is to learn how to deal with losing someone close. I really want to make a story to kind of show people how hard it is to actually lose someone and then deal with the kind of consequences of losing someone, because many stories do have characters dying and everything, but they never really go into the depths of the main character struggle with the loss of this someone. So I really wanted the whole story about Nara to be about her overcoming this loss, not letting this loss kind of defining her as who she is, and her just learning how to deal with it, you know, because it's really hard to deal with a loss of someone you really care about. And when I mean loss of someone, I mean like dead, if you didn't understand that. But the overall idea of Nathan doesn't need to be that everyone has lost someone to like death. Some of the characters have like lost maybe opportunities or anything like that, like, because I want the story to be kind of relatable in a way. Like, I want different people that has experienced loss in different ways to feel like, yeah, this is how, or this is a similar thing I've been going through, or something like that. It doesn't need to be exactly like actual things people are going through, but I don't know, that, I don't know, if I would just sum up Nathan's story, it's just people going through losses in different ways. And Nara's loss is, yeah, about losing a close, like, a family member. Okay, I've been talking a lot about Nathan right here, so let's talk about the drawing. As you can see, I've been going on the background, and now I'm trying to block in and make more shadows to make it more like, I don't know, finalized maybe. I also have a more sometimes you maybe have seen that I jumping back and forth with grayscale, and it's because it's easier if maybe you have seen that I'm jumping back and forth on grayscale. I do that because it's easier, or not easier, but you can tell if the character is like blending into the background or not. If it does, you have to kind of light up the character or make the background darker or something, because you don't want the two to like blend into each other, because obviously you want the characters to stand out. So having like a black and white filter to use sometimes is a really good idea, to just see if the drawing is still like, oh, can I like still see what's going on even if it's black and white. If that makes sense. At this point I haven't finished Nara. I used the side to do the kind of final touches, you would say, or the overall light source and like shadows that will be in the final piece. So at this point it kind of looks finished, but it isn't finished. I'm doing this because it's easier for me to know where the light source is and where I should work more on Nara. So after this I will jump back and forth with turning off these like effects that I just did and go in and work on Nara. So at this point I will start to hide kind of the messy, dark sketch layer, or I kind of color over it. So I use the base color of Nara, like for example on the arms, and then I make it like a little bit darker and I kind of do an outline in a way, just to give it a little bit more texture and look more rendered in a way, instead of having it as a line art. So that's what I'm kind of gonna do for the coming like parts. I will jump back and forth and finalize her face and things like that. So yeah. So this is a tips if you are like me and you don't like to do line art and you really want to do drawings that is like lineless, this is kind of my sheet to do that. You do kind of finalized sketched sketch. You do a more finalized sketch, and you block in the colors like you would do when you do a line art drawing, and when you have done that, you just go back and kind of draw over the lines with a darker color. Again, I just think it gives the character a more like finalized rendered feel, but it's not too complicated. Because I hate like just blocking in without having a sketch or anything, or just blocking in something and you can't see the sketch anymore. So you just work with the sketch as long as possible, and when you feel like you need to start finalizing the sketch, the drawing, then just do it. I don't know, it's just, I'm just rambling a lot, but I know how hard it is to do like lineless drawings, but this is my, I guess, sheet of doing something that feels like a lineless drawing, but it's technically not really a lineless drawing, if it makes sense. I don't know. Again, that's why I have a lot of shadows and effects later on, because you can't tell. Like, look at that. It's not even finished, but you cannot tell. So, yeah, I'm just going back and forth here, and I don't know what to talk about, because this is a hella long video. So maybe I can talk a little bit more about Nathan at this point. And I don't know what to talk about. Like I said, Nathan is about loss. So I'm not gonna say that every character that is in the story has lost something or someone. But again, if I would describe the story with one word, that is like the word. Because something I've learned is that if you can describe your story with like one or a few words, then you're doing something right, I guess, because you have an idea of the story. I guess, I don't know how to describe this, I don't know. I just heard this somewhere that you know what your story is about if you can really put it down to the few words. And again, Nathan is about loss, so that's the story. No need to read it now. It's spoiled. No, not really. But again, I would love to do something with Nara's story one day. But I don't know what to do with it. Or the plan is really that I want to turn it into a game one day, because that is kind of how I'm thinking of the story, is that, okay, how would the story work in a game situation? Like, okay, how would I turn this part of the story into a gameplay scenario? Is kind of how I'm thinking with the story. So again, turning it into a comic or anything, it would not work, because that's not how the story works in my head. Because one of the things that wouldn't work as a, like, I don't know, a comic or an animated short is that I'm thinking that the story is gonna have like 3 different endings. So the endings would be like a good ending, neutral ending, and a bad ending. So it depends on how you do different choices in the game and how you help Nara overcome her loss, will decide if you get one of 3 endings. So yeah. So again, I don't know. I'm still thinking about how the story will turn out and things like that, so I don't know. We'll see. Okay, at this point I'm kind of doing the more finalized things. I noticed that I needed a little bit more darkness behind Nara to kind of complement the light source that is in front of her. Another tips that I've noticed myself and I've heard is that if you can tell what's going on in the drawing from far away, because you will see that I'm doing that in this part soon, is that I will like make the drawing very small, and if I notice that Nara isn't as detailed as I want her to, I will go back and add more like lines on her to make her more recognizable from far away. So that is the thing you can also do if you're doing especially digital drawing or traditional. Like, take a step back. Can you still tell what the heck is going on, even if you're like if you're looking on the drawing from afar? Because again, it doesn't matter how detailed your drawing is if people can't see. Like, you can have a beautiful detailed drawing, but if you cannot tell what it is from afar, then what's the point? Because most of the time, like if you're scrolling through Instagram or DeviantArt or things like that, you mostly see the drawing in a very small thumbnail. And if the drawing is too detailed or like you cannot tell what it is, most people will probably scroll by and just be like, I don't know what that is, so why should I even look at it? But if they can tell that, oh, it's a character sitting looking sad, I wonder how it looks closer up, and then you can have more details closer to the character. But if it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling a lot, but I hope it makes sense what I'm saying in my rambling. So yeah, here I'm going back and forth, and I feel like I'm starting to get finished. I also go back to the other shadow layers to make them darker or things like that to really finalize. I also like to do these like black stripes, but I decided not to do that, so this part is just, it's a waste. So I should probably take that away. Anyways, I've been talking for so long and I've been rambling for so long. I am so sorry about that. But I really hope that some of my rambling makes some sort of sense. Again, this is like the first time I'm doing like a kind of commentary video, so I don't have a script or anything. I kind of just had a few like highlights that I wanted to touch on. I hope you liked the speed paint and that you felt that it was some sort of, I don't know, it helped you in any way, or maybe you just like to hear my voice, I don't know. Anyways, I hope you like this video, and if you wanna see more videos like this, and maybe I can do a story time next time, give me suggestions down in the comments, and yeah, for now, like this video, and I don't know, or you don't need to like it if you didn't like it, but I would appreciate if you said if you, I don't know, just do whatever you want. I hope you like this video. Okay, goodbye everybody! By every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. So don't forget your last betrayal. I'll never forget this day.